Hey everyone, this is Latoya Dixon Smith of Systems for Photographers, and tonight I'm going to do a walkthrough of Dubsado's latest feature, which is the public proposals. All right, so we have Ashley, we have Tony, we have Michelle. Welcome, 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 ladies. So tonight we are talking about the new Dubsado public proposal. So if you aren't familiar with Dubsado, it is a client relationship management tool, or CRM, that you can use in your business, not only if you're a photographer, but any sort of service-based business in particular, and you work one-on-one with clients. This is a really great tool to have because you can not only manage your clients and manage leads there, but also send contracts and invoices, get paid. That's a pretty big deal. Do things like send forms, questionnaires, tutorials, all sorts of things with Dubsado. And there are lots of other features there, but those are kind of the main heavy hitters that people are really looking for when they are looking for a CRM or they're working inside of Dubsado itself. But tonight we're going to talk about one of the new features that they just recently launched, which this week Dubsado turns 3 years old. And so each day they have been releasing a new feature or something else about Dubsado that they're sharing with you. And so a couple of days ago, it was the public proposals. Today, it was the ability to do recurring invoices within Square. So I think the option was available already with Stripe, but now they can use Square. Ashley says she's still with 17 Hats thinking about making the switch though. Hey, I actually started with 17 Hats and switched to Dubsado for my own reasons, which I can share later. But I would say, stick to the end, see if this is something that you may like. I'm going to show you a little bit about the back end of what Dubsado looks like, and exactly what this public proposal is going to allow you to do. So, let me share my screen here. Let me know if you all can see my screen, and I will keep it trucking. If there's anyone else who's joined, say hello, hello. Tony, you're also with 17 Hats. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So hopefully by the end of this, I will convert you ladies. Maybe, maybe not. Just kidding. All right. So this is my Dubsado dashboard in the back, and I'm over here on the forms section of everything. So let me close out. So I'm here on the forms because I want to show you something in particular. Yes, so I'm using, Ashley says this thing lets you share screens now. I think you're able to, on Facebook Live, also share your screen, like within Facebook, the Facebook application or from your desktop. But I'm using a program called Ecamm for Mac, or Ecamm Live, in order to share my screen on live. So if you're interested, go ahead and check that out because I know you do a lot of editing and things like that. So check it out. But here we are in the back end of Dubsado on the form section. So your proposals are going to be inside of your forms. So you have your contracts, your sub-agreements, your questionnaires, proposals, and lead captures. And so what the new public proposals does, it almost acts like a lead capture form and a proposal all in one. And so the reason why that is a big deal is because previously in a proposal, you could only send a proposal whenever you already have a client created or a project already started inside of Dubsado. With the lead capture, you eliminate the process of having to get the lead capture and then send the proposal and putting it all into one. And that allows you now to utilize kind of like a buy now option. Say, for instance, you have something that you want a client to purchase. Instead of having to go through the whole process of getting the lead, then sending the proposal, you can get, their information, their name, their email, their, other information that you need, as well as moving them to booking or buying or purchasing something right on that same page. I'm going to show you what that looks like right here. So I'm going to open up one of my proposals. This is the one that I use for systems for photographers. It's a proposal that I've created. And actually, I just put out a blog post on how to structure your online proposals. And I kind of use the same process here for my own proposals that you can kind of see when you read through the blog post. So here's one of my proposals. So a proposal is basically what it sounds like. You propose something to a potential client, and for service-based businesses like us as photographers, that would typically be something like booking a session, or maybe even booking a wedding or booking an event, something like that. But I'm showing you the services that I have for assistance for photographers, so it's going to look a little bit different in the setup, but the idea is still the same. So I have my proposal here. I have my first offer here. I show what's included and how much it costs. And then I have, some questions down here like, are you interested in this service? Yes or no? And the reason why I have that there is just to confirm whenever a client makes these selections that they know exactly what they have, what they're signing up to get, and that, there's no question about, okay, do they really want this or do they not want this? And then I have the option here for them to select which payment option they want to select, because for the complete Dubsado setup, I have two payment options, which is a one-time payment or two payments. And then here's my next offer. And so you can see at the end of each offer, I have like a selection of what they want to click or what they want to book. Now, what this does this is just a regular proposal, by the way. We haven't even gotten to the public proposals, but it's essentially the same thing. What this does is, when a client gets this, when they open it up, they can make these selections and it kind of automatically populates their total. Like I have some add-ons here. Everything will populate to their total at the end of the proposal. And then they can go on. All right, so that's what a proposal looks like. Now, what is the difference with a public proposal? So I'm going to go back to my form here and show you. So this is kind of the same proposal that I have, but I'm going to show you what you can do that's a little bit different. As you can see, the only difference really from this and the previous one is all this stuff at the top. So the reason why I have this is because at this stage, I can collect information about my client. The other form that you saw was only used if I already knew something about the client. I had their name, I had their email address, and I probably have already talked to them over the phone through a consultation. But this one is if I wanted to just go ahead and send them that first step to book with me, I need to know a little bit about them. I need to know that because I need to know who to address. I need to know which email to send, these invoices and contracts and things like that too. So on this form, I have, a field for first name, for last name, and email. And those are the main three things that you need in the public proposals. In order for it to work, you have to have these three fields and map to the right thing. So when I click on first name, it's required, of course, and I have to map it to the client's first name or else it's not going to work. And then you also have to map their last name and their email. And let me know if you guys have any questions as I'm doing this. Feel free to put them down here so I can answer them as I see them. But those are the three things you need. You need the first name, you need the last name, and you need to email. There's also another thing that I learned today. So I wanted to do this tutorial earlier this morning, but it wasn't working for me. And I had to reach out to Dubsado support to figure out why it wasn't. This morning I had, if you look at, when I click on this, on the tell me a little bit about yourself, it's actually a 2-column container. I had all of this information, first name, last name, email. I had it like this because for me, I just like the way that it looked in, like this for this, this basic contact information. Hold on. I had it like this and it was not working. And so I contacted Dubsado support and they told me that the public proposals will not work if you have these mandatory fields inside of a column block. you have to have them out here separately, which I don't know. Hopefully they can change that, because it shouldn't really matter to, how you design it, but that was the reason why it wouldn't work. So again, you have to have these fields in order for it to work. And then when you save it, that's when the share button up here is enabled. So I'm not going to mess with that anymore, but that's really the basis of the public proposals and what you need in order to make it work. Now, if I wanted to preview this, actually, let me go back. I'm going to get the actual link and show you what it looks like if you had sent this link to a client, what it'll do. Actually, let me back up. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun here. Everybody good so far? Okay. So now, once you've built your proposal, again, go back to the blog post and see kind of what I have on there, in order, in terms of how to structure it and kind of what you need to put on there. But this is what I have for the system services as far as a proposal goes. So once you have everything designed and laid out, you have all your questions on here that you need in order for you to go forward and move forward with the client. You have all your buttons set up. You have all your packages on here listed out for them to make those selections. Let me go back to edit. This is the form designer. So next I'm going to go to settings. This is also important. So you want to have it show your contract. You want to have it show your invoice. And then I also have it so that the client can choose multiple packages, because I have some add-ons on there. Now, if you only wanted a client to select one, because for whatever reason it just makes more sense if they need to do one or the other, because maybe the price is the same and the contents are different, then you would uncheck this, and then you have the ability to select a payment schedule as well. And if you hadn't created a payment schedule and you want to, you can click here and it'll go to the payment schedule. It has, fields for question styling, the completion alert, and I'm not going to mess with that. But here's the next thing that is really critical in order for the public proposals to work. You need to have the privacy setting be set to public. Otherwise, you're not going to have people be able to access it without a password of some sort. And then the next thing you need to do is click yes on create a new project when this proposal is completed. So you click yes, and then you get this highlighted box here that tells you workflows and the other below settings can only be triggered on proposals that are shared publicly, not applied to a project. Okay. So after that, I have a default workflow that I want to set to it. So if somebody fills out this proposal, I have indicated here in the settings that I wanted to initiate this workflow. And this workflow has things like automated emails. It has reminders for me to check in with the client. It has reminders for me to deliver client, brain fart. Deliver their content. So I in any whiteboard session or complete setup, a client will receive the flowcharts. They'll receive the video recording. They'll receive a few other things depending on what it is that they have booked me for. But that's just kind of what that workflow is. And then I have it labeled from the intake form so I know exactly where it's coming from. Then the options here is whenever a client books or whenever they move forward and fill out the proposal, that the project status is labeled to current from the job. Now, this part for me is very critical. The last part where it says lead title. And I love that Dubsado was really a little proactive here. Hey, Rodney. Proactive here and added the client variable in order for you to use this sort of smart tag here to add the client name and what it is, what it is that they've booked you for. This is just something that I typed in. The client name was automatically generated when I click here. You can add, all these things that will help you keep track of what this project is. Because otherwise, if you don't indicate that down here, whenever a client fills out your proposal, you won't know exactly who filled it out. And that's your title for your project tag. So you want to make sure you lead it with the client name or some other indicator that is just easier for you to remember. I like to remember it by the client name because I'm on the phone with clients. I'm addressing them in emails and I don't want to mess that up. So I always lead it with that. So again, those are the main things that you need to make your public proposal work. Again, when you're in the design part of the form, you need the first name, last name, and email. And then the second thing that you need under the settings is to show your contract and invoice, turn your privacy settings to public, and create a new project when the proposal is completed. Save it once you do that and you're gold. Okay, so that's pretty much all you need. And I'm going to show you what it looks like over here. So now it's telling me that I'm viewing as the business owner, but if I'm going to view it as the client, I'm not going to see the submit button, but otherwise you would see the submit button. If you are creating a public proposal, they're going to see exactly what you saw whenever you were designing it. They're going to fill out all this information here. They're going to select their packages down here with these buttons and all this good stuff. And then when they get to the end, it's going to show you the total down here at the bottom. Now, this is something you don't have to code yourself. This is automatically going to come up whenever you build your proposal. The total is always going to be at the bottom, which is also why I ask, are you sure? Are you interested in booking this? Because when they make those selections, it's going to show down here. And that's kind of cool, especially with the public proposals, because it's kind of like a build your package sort of thing. And I'm thinking about, photographers, if we use this like in an album ordering process, or even in, a regular portrait session or a wedding sort of setup where we have add-ons for clients to build it on here. Whenever they click on these things, and they can deselect them as well, it'll automatically, update the total down here. So before they even get to the next phase of looking at the contract or looking at the invoice, they should see down here what their total is going to sum up to be. So let's say that I'm a client, and I hope it will let me go through without filling out the rest. No. Okay. So it says I need to submit the form before reviewing the contract, which means I need to type in all this other stuff here. See, you can't outsmart it. All right, so everything else is optional here except for, let's see. I'm trying to just fill out all the ones that I have are required. Blah, blah, blah. All right, and let's see if it'll go. Let me go to the next thing now. Okay, well, maybe it says it's not. Please submit the form before reviewing the contract. All right, so because I'm still viewing it as a business owner, it's not letting me go forward. But as you can see at the top here, it's showing you that after they submit the proposal, it'll go to the contract, and it'll also go to the invoice. Now, again, before, this would only be possible if they were already a client created. Here, you can create the client and build the proposal at the same time, which is cool. Now what I'm going to do is show you how to build one. Let's go back to templates and forms. And if you have any questions, again, please feel free to let me know. I already started one here, so I just created this. This has nothing in here, but just to show you how to build it. You go to forms, and then you go to proposals. So as you can see right now, the share button is, I can't click on it. There's a little X sign right here, whatever, because I don't have the settings in here in order for it to make it live. All of the required fields aren't here to make the public proposal work. So what I have to do is add the short answer forms of name, map it to the client first name. I need another one for, first name. I need one for last name. Hey, Angelia. How are you doing tonight? And then I need one for phone number. Okay, so I'm going to save that. And as you can see, even though I saved it, it's still disabled because we still have some other things that we need to do. So I have, I just put this 2-column title here for the packages, and I'm just going to select some random packages that I have. I think I have a test packages set up here, just so that we can see how we can use this. Again, I know, it's been a while. Liana is with her dad right now. He's giving me some time to show you guys this because I've been wanting to do this like all day. This is how much of a nerd I am about Dubsado and putting this stuff together. So I finally got some time to sit down and do this. So let's say you have two packages, and this is what your client is going to select in the proposal. So now let's say if this is something just really simple that you wanted them to create. Now you can get fancy with the design like I did with the other ones and have more questions and all that good stuff. But let's say if you wanted to keep it like strictly simple, and if you wanted this kind of just to be like the basic way that your clients can book you on the front end without having to, go through an extensive process, use the public proposals. Now, next you need to go to settings. I have it clicked so that you show contract, and I've attached my contract and agreement here, show invoice, and allow the client to choose multiple packages. Now, the next thing I need to do is, if it was selected to private, make it public, and then also click yes on create a new project when the proposal is submitted. I don't believe you have to apply a workflow at all in order to make it work. Let me just double check. So now that I have this, let me click save. Okay, maybe you do. That was a test. All right, let's see. Let's do this here. Save it. Oh, what else did I do wrong? Let me go back. Boop, boop. Now I gotta check myself. Oh, I know what I did. I think. No. No, got that. Phone number. What did I do differently this time? See, I'm glad I'm doing this with you guys to kind of check myself, because now that I'm really curious as to what I did differently in order for it not work right now. Let me go back out. And this is the beauty of doing live video, right? You figure out what you did wrong or what you're doing wrong. Or maybe I should start from scratch. First name, last name, phone number. Oh, who can tell me, this pop quiz, who can tell me what I'm forgetting? Because I said it like 5 million times and now I don't have it here. What am I forgetting that's not making this work right now? If anybody answer, the first person to answer gets a prize. I'm not going to tell you what the prize is. But there's something that I'm missing with this in order for it to not be working right now. I mentioned 3 things that you need on the public proposals in order to make it, I guess, mandatory. Did you find the learning curve is more or less difficult than 17 hacks? I would say that, let me back up a little bit on that. I'll get back to your question, Tony, because that's a good question. But I'm gonna, for the sake of time, I'm gonna tell you what I forgot. Yes, Stacy got it. Stacy, email. I forgot to put the email on here. Yes, Ashley got it too. Email. So let me put email on here. Y'all are so smart. Look, it's there now. All right, so I'm saving that, and then of course you can, when you click share, I didn't show you this on the other one. When you click share, you can get the direct link, which will send them straight there, or you can use this code to embed on your website. I like to use the embed code because I can't remember all of this unless you use like BitLink or use like a what do you call it? Like a domain forwarder or even like a subdomain or something like that. I find that it's a lot easier to just embed it on your website. Use this code and embed it on your website. That way you can create like a slug name that you can remember. Like for me, I have the systems proposal, the public proposal. It's like systemsforphotographers.com/inquire. And that's where it can, that's where it'll get your information, your name, your email, your first name, last name, and email, with some of those other questions on there, so that it'll move to from lead to project after you've booked. So I would recommend using, the code. If you want to use the direct link, that's fine too. Whatever suits your fancy, but I find it easier to just put this on a website page and just name it something that you can remember so that you can quickly send it to people, especially if you're kind of working on the fly and you need to send somebody a link to book something. It saves you a lot of time. Okay, so that's pretty much how public proposals work. Again, if you are a Dubsado user, I know Stacy is, you know that, before you would have to get the client in there, whether you're doing it manually or whether you're doing it through a separate lead capture form, and then you would have to send a proposal. Now you can skip that step and just have it from the get-go. I'm seeing that we can use this as photographers again for, purchasing things like albums and making those selections, even, portrait sessions, to where it's pretty much a straightforward process. You either book it or you don't. To just having them, fill out that information, book the session, or even if they just need to put down a retainer, say, all you have on here is just the retainer fee for your session. They can book that, and then that starts the consultation process or whatever you decide that you want to have in your workflow. I can see this being, something, for us to use even aside from just services. Like if you did have like a product that you wanted to sell, that you needed, to create that client dashboard with, you can use that as well, because they're going to be able to book that from just this link. They don't have to go through another series of steps, to get it. So I think this was a great move by Dubsado because it simplifies the process even more. And it helps you get paid even quicker. Like I said, especially if you just need to get a retainer to get things rolling. If you require a retainer first before you can speak to somebody, like that could work too. I know there was a question, I think it was in the Dubsado group, of people asking about using this kind of with the scheduler. And I would say the scheduler already has some features in there to where you can, a client can pick the date, and they can also make a payment through the scheduler to book. So I would use the scheduler if it's something that you want to already have the date selected for your client before they book with you, as opposed to something like this to where, maybe they just put down a retainer and then you select the date. So it just depends on how you want to do it. There's no right answer. It's just how you prefer to get that information and how you prefer to move forward with your clients there. So that's the Dubsado public proposals, and I hope that was helpful and clear enough. And I'm glad my little fumble with the email there was a good reminder for me to make sure that I reiterate that it will not work if you don't include that on there. Because as you saw with my little fumble there, it didn't. I was getting a little nervous there. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm on here trying to tell them how to do this thing, and I am not getting it.